Hi, and welcome to Focal Point. My name is Carla Green. I'm the Director of the Regional Prevention Center of Wyandotte County at the Kansas City, Kansas Community College. And today I have with me Adrion Roberson, who is from our community, and he's going to talk to us a little bit today about some activities that he's involved with in the community and how those activities are benefiting our youth. So welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
And let me start with, what are you doing in our community?
Well, we're restarting after 20 years competitive youth football and cheerleading here in Wyandotte County for youth ages 5 up to 7th grade. And we haven't had competitive youth football since the late 80s. And so we've connected with American Youth Football, AYF, which is a nationally known, recognized organization that has over 90,000 young people participating in it countrywide. And so based upon the fact that for years we've played in Missouri and we've played in other areas, excuse me, outside of KCK, we just made up our mind this year that we wanted to have youth football back in Wyandotte County.
And what need do you see that filling?
I mean, it varies. We've got a large number of parents that are single household. We've got a large number of young people whose parents may be incarcerated or worse. We've got a large number of young people that are struggling in reading in areas of like that and health. And so we've got what we call a holistic approach to looking at youth, family, and community development. And the whole program is called Agents of Change. And so within Agents of Change, we've got a 10-year process whereby our two top goals are, one, by the time a child completes his or her progression through the league, by the time they reach high school, they should be reading at a college level B or better. And everyone who comes through the program is going to graduate with no exceptions.
Okay. What's the age range for your program?
Age 5, we're going to have flag football, which is what we call instructional flag football. And then ages 6 up through 7th grade, we're going to have competitive football. And they will be playing against teams from Kansas City, Missouri. They will be playing against teams from Lawrence, Kansas. One of the wonderful aspects of it is that the kids may get the chance to travel. Let's say a Wyandotte County team wins the 4th grade division. They would have to play the 4th grade divisional winner in Kansas City, Missouri during the border war. And if they should win that game, then they will be allowed to go to Chicago and participate in the regional tournament. And if they're lucky enough to win there, they'll play in Orlando, Florida.
Okay. Now, you have to walk me through this. I never participated in organized sports, not athletically inclined.
Yes,
what are some of the benefits of our young people participating in organized sports?
Well, I've coached youth football for over 20 plus years. And the long term, it's the long-term impact that we're seeing in these young men and young ladies. First of all, it gives them a sense of accomplishment. It gives them a sense of understanding who they are, especially when the coaches recognize that they're more than just a football coach. You end up, most of the time, the coach ends up being that father figure or that mother figure that they've never seen. We've got young men even now who have come back in the program who we coached 20-some years ago who are now coaching themselves. So they're now pouring back into some of the same ethics and things that we had hoped we had put into them. Teamwork. The fact that now that it's not just about me and everything that I do impacts someone else. Family. Our motto is it's a family affair. So it brings mom out. It brings dad out. It brings everyone out to support not just your child, but the aspect of team. The issue of discipline. That's huge. We hear a lot of negative reports about kids getting kicked out of school, this, that, and the other. But football, what we have found is because it is such of the way the sport is set up, discipline is huge. And so these young men and even the young ladies that are cheerleading, they have to understand discipline. And so that's just a few of the things that this league is going to do, and being able to bring change, positive change that we think, which is desperately needed in Wyandotte County.
Okay. You mentioned coaches being more than coaches. Mm-hmm. Are there specific things that you are doing? Because that sounds like mentoring to me.
Yes, ma'am.
So are there some specific things that you're doing to mentor? And if so, what are those things?
Well, first thing that we do to ease the parents is that we do background checks on everyone.
Okay.
Once they are cleared and certified by the national board, we do what's called a coach's certification process, where they come in and they literally take 3 hours watching an online certification program that talks about violence in the sport, that talks about proper tackling techniques, how to talk to the child, how to coach. And then the mentoring component comes in, whereby what we really stress is that the child can't practice until he or she has their homework done. If they need help with homework, and if that coach is able to facilitate, then that coach or that staff takes on the role of saying, okay, maybe today we won't practice the first half. Maybe we'll just do reading. Maybe we'll just do math. Maybe we'll answer some of the questions that you have. How is school doing? Things of that nature. We're also encouraging our coaches to do what we call drive-bys, which means take one day off through the season and just take off and then visit your child's school without them knowing it. So we're looking to develop a rapport with the principals in the school district, which is what we're doing now. But then also to let that child know, I love you so much, I care about you so much. Coach just might show up. And so if I'm sitting at the back of your class and we've got some discipline issues, we will talk about it at the football field.
Okay. So with the tutoring, let's say I'm coaching,
yes, ma'am.
And I'm coaching middle school, and I have several students who are having problems in math.
Yes, ma'am.
Math is not my strong suit.
Yes, ma'am.
What's my next step as the coach?
That's a great question. We are in the process now of putting together a strong partnership group, of which the Regional Prevention Center is a main partner. We're working with it's a group called Kansas Volunteers. And what they do is, out of Topeka, they will provide tutors for math, reading, or science. So we've set up specific areas around the city where once a week that coach knows that this is where this child can go and get 2 hours of reading, 2 hours of math, 2 hours of science. We're working diligently now with the KCK School District, specifically on a reading component, so that we are able to support what they are providing to the district through their website and getting parents to help their child with reading. And so with that aspect of it, we've got teachers that are retired as well that we're looking to bring on to volunteer. And so all of these pieces are coming together with this being our first year. And that was our goal this year, was to pilot the project, and then year 2 through 10 go at it full tilt. Okay.
Tell me about what brought this about. I know you mentioned that we haven't had a program like this in Wyandotte County for years. What are the social issues that you were seeing that prompted this initiative?
Being a dot all my life, families aren't like they used to be in the 80s. I remember when we were coaching back in the day. God, I'm aging myself, but back in the day, there was we had a majority of our parents were maybe 2-parent households. Working in the school district, I was a teacher. I taught abstinence until marriage in KCK Middle School in Casey, Missouri, and it was just so scary where the thinking process of a 6th grader was in regards to drugs, alcohol, violence, and sex. And I was talking to my wife, and I said, we need to bring football back. We got it. That idle time for young people these days, unless they literally have something to do, the numbers don't lie. Teen pregnancy is up. The incarceration numbers for juveniles is up. Excuse me, I had a chance to go up to the juvenile detention center down on 7th Street, and we asked a group of young men, if we were to open the door right now and give you some clothes and tell you that you go ahead and leave, would you know how to start over again? And none of them did. And it was scary, talking to Sheriff Ash and Police Chief Armstrong and some of our other affiliates. We want to be able to provide an option. And football allows you to relieve a lot of stress. It's the only game where you can go out and hit somebody and we tell your mother's going to tell you to do it again. And it's okay. But you have to do it legally. And so eventually what's going to happen is, through the 10-year process, we're going to have the same thing. Our kids are going to have the same options that kids in Johnson County have. Year-round sports: football, baseball, basketball, track, soccer. We want our kids to have the same options that the young people have in Olathe and Johnson County.
And I see a lot of preventative areas in this. What about those students who are already struggling? You mentioned the Juvenile Detention Center. What opportunities do you have for those students who have already crossed the line, if you will?
Well, with that, this is where we bring in other entities, such as the Pen to Pencil program, with young men who may already be struggling. There are churches that are getting involved as well, that are bringing in some of their men's groups to act as mentors. For our high school young people, we have community service hours. So they can come out and be a part of this. And what we will do is we will guide them through the process of literally just taking a time out, just breathing, and then letting them know that they can take an active role, whether they're playing football or not, and that these community service hours will help you get your laptop, will also help you with your grades, because to us it's more than just them coming out and filling a position, whether it's parking cars, working concession stand, or helping with cleanup. So we've got a lot of options on the table, and right now we're just filtering through to see what's the best need for the kids as we pilot this project this year.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, we're going to take a short break, and then we'll come back and talk a little bit more about some of the initiatives that Adrion is involved in the community.
They said drugs would make you cool.
Go in my room.
I just asked you.
No, Mom, shut up, Mom.
Tell me to shut
Leave
up.
me alone.
Get back here. Stay home.
Just say it to my face, dude. What? Just say it, dude. What? No, man. It's my face.
What's wrong with you?
Man, forget you guys.
Hey, wake up, sleepyhead. Pay attention in my class.
They said drugs would make you cool. They lied. Find out the truth about drugs. drugfreeworld.org.
Welcome back to Focal Point. Again, I have Adrion Roberson with me today, and we're talking about some of the initiatives that he has here in Wyandotte County that are geared toward helping our young people with dealing with the social issues that they have in their lives and helping them to be more productive citizens as they grow older. And so we're going to continue our conversation. I know we've talked about tutoring that will be available. We've also talked about the mentoring opportunities. Let me go back to tutoring for a few minutes. What evaluation methods do you have for assuring that what you're doing with those students is actually helping them to improve their academic skills?
That's a great question. Primarily, the first thing that we will set up is what we call a pre-evaluation to find out where they are. And then working with the entity or entities that are going to be helping us with the reading component, being able to have the material that's age appropriate to meet that child where he or she is. And then once we've completed the program, to then do a post-evaluation to see where that child is. In between that time, we want to track that child's reading with the school. So we will go into the school, we'll say, okay, Ms. Carla, we'd like to track Larry as he goes through the football season with his reading, see if his grades increase, if his behavior changes in the process. And then we'll be able to take all of that information and then put together what we believe a template that will help us go forward. Our goal is, along with this, is to put a scholarship together to kind of be an initiative for the children. There's a young lady who was a wonderful teacher here in Wyandotte County who recently passed, and we've decided we want to put together a scholarship in her name. And so what we want to do is for the child whose reading has increased the most through the season, and along with that, whose behavior has also been seen to change or to go for the positive, we want to be able to provide that child a $300 scholarship, both male and female. And so being able to do that are some of the things that right now what we're foreseeing, but we know that a couple of the agencies have some other ideas as far as making sure that we are hitting the targets that we want to hit as we go through the tutoring piece.
And as I'm listening to you, I'm reminded of the social development strategy, and it's one of the things that we use in the Regional Prevention Center, and it focuses on offering our students skills, opportunities, and recognition, which is exactly what you're doing. You're providing them the opportunity to learn those skills through sports, giving them opportunities to use those skills, and then recognizing them for their accomplishments. And research shows that that's how you make a positive difference in the lives of our students.
And definitely, especially, and another component with football is that it can really strengthen your leadership skills. So if you're able to get a child to grasp that, or a young person or a teenager to grasp the leader that's within them, and that when you work hard, that there are accolades at the end, whether it's summa cum laude, or some of us say thank you, Lottie, for graduating, but the possibilities of college, the possibilities of, finding that job that you want, or starting your own business, or coming back into the community and then becoming a community activist. So those are some of the things that we're looking long term, hopefully, that when the seed is planted, that these young people will be able to do.
Okay. You've also mentioned relationships and sexuality, and I know that is a sensitive subject with many adults, but we see, I think, in our community the effects of not addressing those issues and not being proactive. What are some of the things that your program is going to do to address those issues?
We're going to have a life skills project that is going to deal with making healthy choices. Okay. You're exactly right. And I tell parents all the time, I didn't know the limited amount of information our young people had other than through hip-hop, movies, videos, what the culture is saying, what the movies are saying. To talk about from a value perspective why they need to make healthy choices, especially with the sex thing, when we've got a large number of young people who are actively participating in activities which could change your life forever. And so what we do is we will have young men come in, Fellowship of Christian Athletes. We'll have young ladies come in and women come in and talk to them from a practical standpoint. This is what happened to me. I had the same goals and aspirations, but I made a choice and there was a consequence. To talk about choices and consequences. To talk about BET may say wrap it up, but it doesn't talk about the impact on your heart. It doesn't talk about the things that can happen outside of those areas. And so literally using all of the learning techniques, whether it's kinesthetic, audio, or visual, to get young people to see it, experience it, get them to talk about it, and then say, okay, now where are we going? What are you going to do now? And then putting them in connection with people that they can talk to. Hopefully that's why my big emphasis is I hope the church really jumps on this thing. I hope that there's some strong people that can say, we're not going to smash religion on you, but we love you so much that we care about you. And so you can talk to me. I'm one of those statistics that no one knew about, and that has been a huge impact I saw when I was teaching in the schools, is that when they can relate to you, it's not just being someone coming and telling me what not to do, but I can say, you know what, that was me. But look at what happened, after learning about making better choices. And so we want to do that as well. And so that's a part of year 2 as we go through the year 2 through 10 process.
And I can relate to that. One of the things that I say all the time when I'm out working with young people is that life is all about choices. And the research shows that simply teaching or telling our young people, no, don't do it, doesn't work.
No, it doesn't.
And part of the problem is that many of them are already engaged in those activities. And so if they choose not to stop, we have a responsibility to teach them at least how to protect themselves. We may not be happy with their choices, but they do need to know how to protect themselves. And so I applaud you for that. That's a big step in our community.
And it has, I put it like this, we have a sense of urgency with it. I remember we were teaching in one local school, and the numbers came back to us. This was a local high school in the Kansas City area where 40 freshman girls had come in pregnant. One young lady came into the first day class, I thought her water was going to break. It was like, oh my goodness, are you serious? And when we really started talking about relationships and choices, and if it doesn't cause you to look at your community and say, okay, wait a minute, what can I do to help? personally, I think there's something wrong. We can't just stay in our homes anymore, just sit on our porches and just watch life go by. These young people, there's a generation that needs to know that there's a generation before them that loves them, but we love them enough to tell them the truth. And so that's what we're going to do.
Finally, you mentioned parenting.
Mm-hmm.
I've taught parenting classes for years,
mm-hmm.
and there seems to be this disconnect. You know, when you're working with schools especially, their perception is that parents don't care. And when you're working with parents, their perception is, well, the schools don't want me involved. And one of the things that I have learned is that our parents do care.
Mm-hmm.
They care about their kids, but many of them just, they simply do not have the skills that they need to be able to help their children.
Right.
So what are you doing to address that?
Two things. One, it was from an experience that I had in teaching the abstinence until marriage component. We would have a parent workshop, and we would invite parents to come out. We'd feed them real good, and we'd have babysitting, facilities, and we would just talk about the things that we were teaching their kids in schools. And then we would just open the door. I would say perhaps 70 to 80% of those parents were single moms. Then after that, you have grandmothers taking care of the kids. And the conversation would be just eye-opening. I never thought it would be like this. My mother put me out when she found out I was pregnant. I'm 70 years old. I should be enjoying the golden years, but now I'm taking care of these two crazy kids. I never thought my son would get involved in things like this. And we started, we would see older women talking to the younger women about, baby, this is how you take care of your house. Or how many of you know how to cook? It was hilarious. Some of you know how to boil water. It was hilarious. And they were, we stopped at McDonald's. We said, baby, that's not good nutrition. That's not how you feed your kids. So we started watching that, and we're going to take that and bring that to the Agents of Change component for the parenting piece. And so for the parents to volunteer, once a year, this is what they need to do. One, they have to support their child in football or cheer. Two, they have to support them with their fundraising. Three, they have to go to every parent-teacher conference during football season. Four, they have to come to the one parent workshop. If they do those things at 100% clip, we're going to give them a $100 gift card. Now, some people say, are you trying to buy a parent? Well, no. We recognize that where we are, there's a mindset that needs to be changed. That parent needs to know how much of an impact he or she has in the life of that child. And that child's heroes shouldn't be off of television. It shouldn't be a dude who raps that they pay $17 for a CD that they'll never meet. They should be able to look at their mom and dad. And if mom has got 2 kids and she's grinding it out there with 2 jobs and coming home, she's your hero. If dad is out there trying to do the best he can, he's your hero. So what we want to do is build heroes in the home. And so our thinking is, if we change the home, we just might change the community. So, and we know it's not going to happen overnight. And so what we've got a lot of young adults who are in their early, mid-20s, and we're just constantly telling them that if something happens to me today, or something happens to Carla today, who's going to keep this thing going? And this is not my vision. It's not my wife's vision. It's not Carla's vision. This thing is way bigger than we are. And so they've caught on, and they're like, let's go. So we've got these 20-somethings pushing us 50-somethings to hopefully get this thing to a point where total collaboration. We're supporting the Regional Prevention Center. Regional Prevention Center is supporting us. Other entities in the city, we're literally coming together, quote unquote, as a village. And it's no longer a cliche. We are literally living out this village mentality. And that's what we believe Wyandotte County desperately needs.
I would agree with that. I applaud this initiative. I think it has been needed for quite some time in our community. And our young people have such serious needs, and we do have a responsibility to help meet those needs. I look forward to continuing to work with you all. I'm excited about the direction that this is taking and the possibility for sustained change in Wyandotte County. And I know that's part of the problem sometimes, is that we start these things and then 2 years later, we don't hear about them again. So that's exciting that you're already thinking about how the program can be sustained over time.
Well, we've got some great partners working with us. We've got the KCK Police Department, we've got the Sheriff's Department, we've got Livable Neighborhoods. They've adopted us as one of their Wyandotte 500 this year. We've got the Regional Prevention Center. We've got the KCK Black Chamber. We've got, in fact, we're meeting later on with the Legends, and they're talking about how can we support doing what you're doing. We've got, for the health initiative, Subway VitaZest has come on, and they're going to help us with a diabetes-friendly snack and lunch for the kids that are playing football that day. And so you see these pieces coming together, slowly but surely. And so, like we said, together we can do this. And
I agree.
That's what we're going to do.
Well, thank you so much for coming by today and for sharing information that is so vital to our community.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you. And thank you for joining us for another edition of Focal Point.